Welcome back to Florida TRD. Today I'm going to be replacing my factory lower control arms and replacing it with the Total Chaos factory replacement lower control arms. Reason I'm doing this is obviously I want a little extra added protection because these do incorporate a built-in skid plate. So I'm saving myself the hassle of having to go and buy a skid plate from another manufacturer and then bolting it onto the weak lower control arm. But the main reason is that I actually have a blown lower control arm bushing. This happened shortly after doing the lift. I don't think the lift has anything to do with it. It's just, hey, it's lifted, it's at a different angle than what the truck was built at, torqued down to, yada yada yada. And then obviously wheeling isn't kind to factory bushing because the factory bushings leave a lot to be desired. So I'm going to go ahead and get this installed left and right and go over my overview with you guys. Something to keep in mind that we've already noticed is that the uniball for this guy is a very large, probably 16 millimeter Allen key, so make sure you guys have that on hand. I actually don't have anything that large. I have someone running out to go get it now, so that way we can move forward with this process. Little overkill when you could just use a regular bolt head and have all the clearance that you need, but hey, whatever, I didn't design it. So stay tuned guys and we'll go ahead and get this installed. Thanks. Alright guys, just wanted to give you a little tip here. You see I've marked the lower control arm bolts with red paint. I do that on the front and back side. I do that so that way when I put everything back together, I can get it exactly where it was, or as close to exactly where it was without having any guesswork. So I recommend doing that, like I said, front and rear. I did it on the rear one too. So highly recommend that. Don't go just guessing. Get it exactly where it was or as close as you could back to where it was. And like I said, I do that on the front side as well as on the other side of it because there are alignment washers on both sides. So I just marked both of them just to be safe. Alright guys, so got the Total Chaos lower control arms installed. Everything went super easy. I'm going to show you a couple of the special tools that you will need. Well, not really special tools, just kind of oddball tools, I guess. I wish I would have known that I needed those going into it versus starting the install and being like, yeah, shit, I need these. So I'm going to go over that stuff with you, but I just wanted to show you what they look like installed. They are super sweet looking. Install, like I said, was a cakewalk. Everything fits perfectly. They are a beefy unit. So if you can swing it in the budget, it's definitely worth the money, especially considering that they're fully boxed and sealed. Already incorporate slides, so can't really lose on that. And you got a massive uniball ball joint instead of the factory ball joint. The factory ball joint is weak. This guy is super beefy. Installing it to the steering knuckle is kind of a nightmare because it's super stiff right out of the box. So it takes some negotiating to get it in there properly. And then of course you do have the poly bushings, which are kind of hard to see, but you can see the Zerk for that one, and then the one in the rear. So it's fully serviceable, nice and easy to take care of, and way stronger than the factory bushing. All right, so here are two of the special tools that you will need. One is a 5/8 Allen. We went with a 1/2 inch drive. That's what you'll use on the head of the bolt when you're torquing it down. Make sure that you're putting this in perfectly square. Obviously, you know, if it's in a little bit off center, you run the risk of stripping it. This was not something that I had just laying around, so I had to run out and get that. Next is, as you can see, a little improvised socket. It is a 1 1/8 chrome socket that has now been ground down to make it a thin wall. Has to be a thin wall to fit in between the, I guess, prongs of the lower control arm. That's where the lock nut goes on, and it's very thin spacing there. So no impact socket can fit. A standard chrome socket couldn't even fit. So I went out and bought a little cheapo depot kit at Harbor Freight, so I wasn't grinding down one of my nice sockets, and did that with it. But that's all you'll need special tool wise. Other than that, it is a cakewalk install.
Alright guys, so real quick I wanted to go over the pre-alignment. As you guys can see, this thing was way out, and that's even putting it back together the way that it was marked, and all my paint markings were spot on. So that just goes to show you that once you have an alignment, you go and wheel it, it's going to knock it out. I probably have 3 or 4 wheeling trips on that alignment, and then did this install. Something that I bring that up because I want you guys to stay on top of it. You know, these tires aren't cheap, and you know, if you stay on top of it, get frequent alignments when you go out and off-road, then you know you'll take better care of your tires. They'll last you longer. As far as the alignment specs afterwards, I did not get a picture of it. We were in a hurry, but it aligned perfectly. I couldn't have asked for better settings. Camber was at 0.0 on both sides. Caster was at 4.5 on the driver's side and 4.6 on the passenger side. We always lead the passenger side, usually 0.1 or 0.2 ahead of the driver's side, and that's to compensate for the crown of the road. And toe was dead on. So I couldn't be happier with the overall result. Total Chaos does build in a degree of caster into their parts, so keep that in mind when you guys are purchasing this, that a lot of Toyota dealerships aren't going to mess with this, because those are guys that are literally going to set it to green on the screen, and that's it. And Total Chaos says in the paperwork that if you try to set it to factory spec, you may not be able to get other adjustments in specification because of that adjusting to factory spec. So keep that stuff in mind when you're doing it. But if you can swing it budget-wise and are willing to, you got to sniff around for an alignment shop that's willing to do basically a custom alignment, even though it's really only a degree of caster. That's really the only thing that's custom, and do it in a specific order. It is a cakewalk to align. We literally had no issues. We were just in a rush because we wanted to get out of there and go eat. Go figure, right? But yeah, I just want to let you guys know it's perfect. I love it the way that it drives now. It's so responsive and firm. It blows my mind what a difference it is. I can't say enough good things about it. The build quality, the way that it changed the vehicle road, and it gives you so much more confidence having that massive uniball and strong poly bushings that are easily serviceable. So if they ever start to wear, it's not a matter of torching the lower control arm and pressing them out. It's a matter of just spending a few hours and knocking them out, and they're so easy to take care of. It's kind of like a brain off, like no-brainer type modification. It should just be done. So if you guys have any questions, post it up in the comments, and if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe. Thank you.